What's up, you guys? This is One and Done Weekly. My name is Sarah, and I want to talk about Easter candy with you today. The reason is last week I was talking to one of my clients, and she was so spot on. She said, you know, I just really want all this Easter candy to go away. And I can so relate to her on this one. Apparently there's a lot of it hanging around at her office, and it's just easy to snack on, right? And I have definitely struggled with Easter candy in my life. I don't know if any of you have it kind of hanging around your house or your office right now, but maybe you can relate to this. But chatting with her made me think of how child Sarah dealt with Easter candy, and then I kind of juxtaposed that with how adult Sarah dealt with Easter candy before my transformation. So talking to her made me think of a specific experience when I was 5 years old. During Easter, my parents would do the whole Easter basket thing. We would paint eggs, hard-boiled eggs, we won't use plastic ones, but we would paint the eggs, and then on Easter morning they would, scatter them in the yard. We'd go do our little Easter egg hunt, and our Easter baskets always had one gift, so one little gift, and then there was candy in it, of course. And on this particular Easter event, we also had a party that day where people came over. And so as is wont to happen, I'm sure, with the littles in your house when you've got a lot of people over, there's general parental oversight, but not specific oversight. And so that meant that I was kind of left to my own devices. And I of course went for the candy. So I had my little Easter basket, and in that Easter basket I had a massive, I say massive, it was probably like this, I think it was one of those Dove chocolate bunnies, but for a 5-year-old that's pretty massive. So I grabbed it, and the TV was on. I think there were cartoons on. I went and sat in front of the TV, had my little Easter bunny, and I started with the ears, and I unwrapped his little ears, and or his massive ears, as it were. And one of my favorite things about Easter candy then and now is that the kind of wrapping it's in, that kind of tin foily wrapping that's really thin, and so you have to kind of like carefully peel it apart, and if you're not careful you end up digging into the chocolate, and so it's like a whole thing, it's a whole experience. And so I unpeeled it, and starting with the bunny ears, I just started eating this chocolate. And some indiscriminate time later, I have no idea how long this was, but some time later, my dad comes walking by. And what he had seen must have absolutely horrified him, because in that moment, his expression changed from just like, doo-ba-doo-ba-doo, I'm at a party, I'm at my house, to just absolute fury. And in the moment, it freaked me out. I was like, oh, what did I do? Blah. And what he found was his little girl covered in chocolate around her face. So my face was just covered in chocolate because, 5. And I had started with the bunny ears. What he found me was just the bunny feet. So I had eaten that whole thing in that sitting, and if his reaction freaked me out. Looking back on it now, I know exactly why he was so furious. It's because what he saw freaked him out. And the reason was, at this point, I think I've shared, my mother has always had issues with her weight. And so I think what he saw in that moment was his little 5-year-old girl, who at the time there was no weight issues. I was perfectly normal sized. But I think he just saw like, oh no, it's a slippery slope. She's going down this path. And it just completely freaked him out. So he got super angry. That is another video for another time about parenting and how to raise our kids to have a better relationship with food, but I'll save that for another day. So that was child Sarah. Child Sarah, 5-year-old Sarah, had no way of adulting herself. I don't know when the last time I had eaten that day was. Who knows? I'm sure I had breakfast, but I just chocolate bunny, wanted the bunny, ate the bunny. I would have stopped when I got sick or finished the bunny, obviously. Juxtapose that to how I engaged with Easter candy as an adult. And there's not a specific example I can give you. This is more of a description of all of the examples, right? So especially when I was teaching, if you've ever taught before, the workroom is there's always food in there of some kind, and especially around Easter. And so I had changed in so much that I didn't want to go down there, grab a ton of candy, and then just sit in plain sight and start chomping on it. My behavior changed enough to where anytime I was down in the office, I would just snatch a piece here, snatch a piece there. And of course, I had these little rules around it, like, oh, I snatched a piece and I ate it while I was walking back up to class. Calories don't count. Oh, is that a crushed piece? Oh, calories don't count. And so it's just really easy to go back and keep snatching and keep snatching and keep snatching. And then lo and behold, your body is not doing what you wanted to do, and you don't know why. And so it's not so playful and fun as it was when you were 5 years old as an adult. And I can tell you, you have heard me say this if you've watched any of my videos, that the key to transformation, ultimately, what we have to do is learn how to adult ourselves around food. But I have a theory that the reason food is, in my opinion, the hardest place to adult ourselves around, and the reason is because it's the only place where it's socially acceptable for us to not adult ourselves. So, for example, if you go through McDonald's, their drive-thru, and you get like a double quarter pounder with cheese and you supersize it, and you get the biggest Coke that you can, and then you get a dessert on the side, I mean, you might get some sidelong looks. It's like someone might look over and like, oh, that's a lot of food, but you're not going to go home and have like a ticket on your car, right? They're not going to shut off your air conditioning or, not give you a paycheck if you just decide to eat like a child. And so that's why it makes it so difficult. It's just it's socially acceptable to not act like an adult around food. But as I began to transform, I learned that adulting around your food is actually, ironically, not what you would expect. It is the key to enjoying your food more. Way more. Way, way, way more. And so for example, one of the vital lessons I learned through my transformation process is something that I think PN Nutrition calls turn up the good. And so in this situation, the way I apply it with food is I know that I am a 3-meal-a-day person. Like, that is the best cadence for me, with like maybe a snack in between. And so if at my meals, I eat a healthy, balanced meal, like I make sure I get enough protein, I make sure I'm eating some vegetables, healthy carbs, some fats, all that stuff. It's balanced, right? If I do that, then I know that when I eat a treat, it's gonna be absolutely delicious. I also know that I have permission to eat that treat, right? Whereas before the transformation, I might just eat a ton of treats and be like, oh wait, I'm just gonna skip a meal because I'm eating all these calories. And then you end up eating way more than you wanted to, and then you get sick, and it's a whole thing, right? And so that is a skill set that I learned. That is an adulting skill set that I have in my back pocket now at all times. And, actually over Easter, Forrest and I announced that we're going to have a child in a few months. And that skill set I've now taken into pregnancy, which is a massive, massive tool for me, because it's helped me tamp down on the nausea that I'm dealing with. And it's also helped me not deal with as many body image issues around pregnancy, because I know I'm supporting myself with my food, right? And so as a result, the way that I engage with Easter candy now is I still get it when I want it. I just don't get all of it in one sitting. And that means what I do choose to eat, I enjoy so thoroughly, because 1, it tastes good. 2, I'm not eating it with a side of shame and compulsion and knowing that I'm going to gain weight afterwards. And so it's really a powerful thing. Now, at this point, you might be saying, Sarah, that's great. I don't have that skill set yet. That's all right. First of all, it's a process. Second of all, what I will leave you with is an exercise that I encourage you to do. It's a very, very powerful exercise. The explanation behind it is that if you are a person that every time you get around that Easter candy, or any candy, whatever your compulsion food is, if you just see it and then you just snatch it and take it and eat it and then guilt, what you need in that moment is space. you need space between the moment that your brain says, eat that, and the moment that you reach out and grab it. And so this exercise that I'm going to recommend to you is a perfect way to stop yourself just long enough to create that space. I'm not saying you're not going to eat the food. I'm not even telling you to try not to eat the food. Here's what the exercise is. It is a food journal. So you can do this on your phone if you have like Google Drive, your notes, whatever. But what I recommend is for a week, you write down absolutely everything that you eat/drink, eat and or drink. And when you do that, you're gonna write down the day that you did it, the time that you did it, and then in addition to what you ate, I want you to write down what you were thinking, feeling, doing, or saying. Maybe you were doing all of those things, but just write them down. And it doesn't have to be a big long journal entry. It can just be like, I was hungry in between work, I was on a break, hadn't eaten breakfast, whatever. And just write that down. And then at the end of the week, go back and read everything you wrote. Just read everything you wrote. And then that will give you a peek into your habitual thoughts around food, your habits. That journal exercise helped me discover that intermittent fasting for me is not a great option, right? Because every time I ate a whole pizza after coming off of my fast, that's a hyperbole, of course. I wasn't doing that. But I saw the pattern that when my fasting window closed and my feeding window opened, that's when the demons came out of me and I couldn't control them. So this exercise is a very, very valuable exercise. It'll give you a lot of insight into how you relate to food and hopefully give you a path towards building those adulting skills that I promise you will make for a much happier life, both with food and without it. So I hope this resonates. Let me know what you think in the comments. If you have a skill that this is my go-to adulting 101 skill, let me know about it. Love to hear it. And hopefully that Easter candy is being taken care of in a healthy way. So we'll talk soon. Take care.